Now, the Conference of Parties 28th edition, also known as COP28, will be held from the 30th of November to the 12th of December 2023 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. And of course, Zambia, as chair of the African Group of Negotiators, will take center stage coordinating activities on behalf of the African continent. And therefore, it is important for us to find out if Zambia is truly ready to participate at COP28. And this is why on this program, we'll be looking at how WWF Zambia is working around its projects in line of its participation with other stakeholders at COP28. Join me on the other side. Welcome to On the Road to COP28 with me, Mary Mwikisa. Now, this program is proudly sponsored by WWF Zambia and, of course, with support from the Forestry Landscape Restoration and Voices for Climate Action. And these are projects under WWF Zambia. My guest in studio is Dilwe Syaamuntu, District Coordinator for VCA. Dilwe, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let's talk about the VCA project. What is it about?
Thank you so much, Mary. Well, the VCA is a Dutch-funded program. It receives funds from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it looks at providing programs to support climate adaptation and resilience building. Mm-hmm. It's a 5-year program, and it brings together 5 strategic alliance partners, that is WWF Zambia, Islam Dollars International, South North, and Akina Mama of Africa. Okay. Our vision for the 5 years focuses on reaching a point where civil society can be able to co-create inclusive, climate-fundable solutions that deliver real benefits to society and to people. Our focus areas are in 10 districts. So we are in Ruangwa, Rufunsa, Chongwe, Lusaka, Kafiwe, Chikankata, Chirundu, Siavonga, Mangabuka, and Itestesi.
It's interesting how you remember all the 10 districts just like that. It shows how embedded you are in this project. But then let's look at the success stories from these projects, because from the 10 provinces, districts, I'm sure there should be some great stories.
Indeed, there are so many good stories. If you look at what's happening in Luangwa, we have got communities that are coming together to develop household models for carbon trading. Communities, households are actually planting over 200 trees per house. You come to Chongwe and Rufunsa, communities are coming together to see how they can fight gender-based violence by giving women empowerment through nature-based solutions, planting trees, planting avocados. You go further on in Chongwe, communities are actually trying to see how they can produce or use more sustainable energy by using efficient cooking stoves. Communities further in Chongwe are also looking at how they can be able to increase their food security by practicing conservation smart agriculture farming. And in Kafi, what is so interesting in Kafi is that we've got women mobilizing themselves to create bankable projects, fundable projects that can actually help women livelihoods in that space. In Chikankata, we've got communities that are working on climate smart agriculture alliance, over 1,000 farmers coming together to increase their food security. In Chirundu, we've got communities that are looking at how they can actually achieve inclusion by bringing disabled people on board. And in Siavonga, we've got communities coming together to establish a community forest. And this has brought in a lot of energy that they want to actually establish more community forests in different headmen. In Mazabuka, where we've got issues of Kachasu brewing, women are taking the lead by learning how they can be able to go into alternative businesses, green businesses. And finally, in Itestesi, where we've got our partner who's working with the youth, we're trying to see how we can actually empower the youth to be the leaders of the next generation, influencing the adults in that area through some sustainable change programs.
Now, the year 2023 is slowly coming to an end. When you look back at the year, what are some of their success stories? The key highlights?
Well, if you look at the key highlights so far, I think we've been able to achieve 3 key things. One is building mutual capacity of our partners, our stakeholders, our community leaders, as well as different stakeholders. We've been able to work with the communities to set the agenda. And this agenda is based on what are their needs and how do we advocate for those needs for them. And lastly, the last success is looking at how we focus on policy, advocating for the right policies to respond to the emerging challenges of climate change now in Zambia.
Let's talk about policy. What is it that you believe in? What kind of policies do you like to see to support climate action in Zambia as VCA?
Well, in terms of policies, I think what is fundamental, the first thing is that we want policies that are inclusive, that actually focus on people contribution, and we focus on ensuring that actually people voices are actually heard and that they influence and shape policies. We do not want policies that leave people out or outside. We want policies that are actually inclusive and that respond to the needs of the people within the greater context of policy development.
Let's talk about the impact that this project is having. in these districts that you mentioned, and are you seeing, visible change in people's mindset, their choices, and their lifestyle?
Well, change is a gradual process. When you look at behavior change, it's a gradual process. But you do understand that the communities have been experiencing climate change impacts for the longest period of time. They have been able to develop alternative solutions, which might be good or bad, to survive. And we come in place to see how do we work with them to actually evaluate these solutions, scale them up, and let them be able to receive the change that they need or the support that they need. And this is the impact that we're aiming to see. We're trying to aim to see where we have participatory approaches of communities designing the projects themselves, participating in the implementation, as well as in the management. And through that, we were trying to create what we're trying to say co-ownership or ownership of these projects from the bottom up processes.
So who do you work with in implementing some of these strategies and projects?
Well, as the VC, we're open to working with various stakeholders. So we work with the community and their traditional leaders. These are fundamental because this is why we implement the projects. We work with government, and this, of course, goes with different line ministries as well as parliament to see how we can be able to support them to support the agenda of setting the right policies that are relevant to the people. We also work with the private sector. So we've got a number of private sector companies that we're working with. These are not only based in the Kafir Flats, but across the country that are coming on board to support us. And we've got international partners and donors, and these include the embassies that we work with to support the interventions that we're actually focusing on the program.
You spoke about youth engagements, that some of the key stakeholders. How are they responding to some of these projects that you are implementing? Because the youth obviously anticipated to be impacted more by climate change because of their age and their longer lifespan ahead.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the design of the program, we do focus on women, youth, and marginalized groups. And we put them at the core focus to understand what their primary needs are. And through working with them by understanding what their needs are, we're able to effectively plan together. We're able to effectively collaborate and contribute to the development of the projects that they feel that would really benefit their resilience building and adaptation. And the youth have come to the fore. They have been playing a vital role in actually mobilizing fellow stakeholders, fellow partners, fellow community members to come on board and to even co-create some of these innovations. What we see as a fundamental thing that can push the agenda forward is having more resources, having more partners coming together. So instead of only targeting a few hundred youths, we can actually go to create a bigger movement of youths that are coming together across different skills, across different ideas and agendas.
You spoke about efficient energy. Tell me more about this.
Well, when you look at energy, I think we everything that we do depends on energy, and more so for cooking. So our community members are actually depending on firewood and charcoal. And the community in Chongwe has developed what we're calling an efficient cooking stove, where they use small twigs. So this benefits in the sense that it reduces them from cutting or prevents them from cutting big trees by only actually cutting small twigs, which they're able to put in their efficient cooking stove, and they're able to cook their food, their beans at that level.
That's sustainable.
And for them, it's a plus because it helps their trees to regenerate and grow without actually damaging them.
Okay. Now, lastly, let's talk about COP28. What's your focus as you go to Dubai?
The focus for us is, I think we can sum it up in two things. One is action. The other one is accountability. And when we talk about action, we're looking at how the things that were agreed in the COP27 can actually come into fruition now, into operation. So we have the loss and damage issues that are coming up. Now we want to see who is going to pay, who's going to be the beneficiary, and when are we going to receive those funds. So it's about action. It's time where we look at things actually being operationalized and we start receiving the actual funds. It's also about now trying to have the action to mobilize more resources for developing countries that are heavily impacted by climate change. And Zambia is one of the countries that is heavily impacted by climate change. When you look at accountability, we're looking at how we can be able to contribute towards achieving the mitigation target of at least minimizing to 1.5 degrees. We're also looking at how we can be able to hold people accountable for their actions. And this is what we're trying to see, and this is what we're trying to push at the COP and say, let us now operationalize these issues and bring out the results. It's no longer a time to be on the camera, it's time for action. For action to do the work now.
Dilwe, thank you so much for talking to us on the road to COP28.
Thank you so much.
And we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much for having been here. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another edition on the road to COP28. I'm Mary Mukisa. Thank you for watching.